Everyone to our Black History Month program. I want to thank everyone for coming. And those that are on their way, come on in. Come on. Thank you. Thank you for coming. The event title today is the African American Church, Past, Present, and Future. And today, if you didn't get a program, it's in your seat. So if you're sitting on it, stand up and grab it. We're going to sing, Lift Every Voice and Sing. Now, that's a we. If any of my staff is here, they think I'm going to sing it, but we're going to sing it together. And while we're standing to get ready to sing, I'm Arlene Hubbard. I'm with Disability Services. I'm a supervisor, and I was asked by the committee to MC today. Thank you, Norma. Love my folk. All right. I'm ready. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Bring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the day that hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat, let now our weary feet come to the place on which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way with tears that have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our star cast is born. In church we sing something different. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, though who has brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast stood by mine, let us into the light. Keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places our God where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. Good job, y'all. Woo! You may be seated. They gave them already. If you don't have a handout, they're passing them out as well, just to give you that tidbit. I would like to introduce Commissioner McDonough to the podium.
Thank you. So I've been asked to do a really brief welcome, and I am going to keep it brief because I've heard Dr. Reverend Miller a number of times, and you are in for a treat today. So as chair of the Ramsey County Board, on behalf of the Ramsey County Board, and I see Commissioner Carter here, but from all of us on the board, we are just pleased that you're here, that we're taking the time to actually use some of this, what we would call like leadership development, right? Really for us to think about what our roles here are in the county and the city and how does that intersect with experiences in our community. And this is what this is today. It looks like we may use every chair here today. I'm glad to see that. So again, from the Ramsey County Board, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. And I do look forward to Dr. Reverend Miller's comments.
Well, I have the pleasure of introducing for the first time as mayor, my friend, Mayor Carter. Would y'all give him a round of applause?
Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. It means your welcome means a lot to me. It's an honor to be here to celebrate with you African American History Month. This is the month every year that we set aside, which, you know, we used to joke when I was kids, it would have to be the shortest month of the year, you know. But we set it aside to recognize the contributions of people of color, and specifically African Americans, to our community, both nationwide and locally here. And we talk a lot about history. It has to be, to me, as well, about forging our future. You know, we've had a lot of conversation about, you know, making history, and people keep telling me, you know, we made history this year, and we did, and I'm excited about that. And making history gives us the opportunity to work together to make the future together. And so our focus is going to be on building on that past and saying we're going to make the future together. Our focus has really been to lift three core values within our city government right now. And I know that they're values that our county has been working on as well, because I've got pretty good relationships with a few of our county commissioners. And those values are equity, and knowing that in a community, that in a country that has such systemic inequities just built into the systems that we all work and navigate, that every moment we don't spend fighting for equity and fighting to intentionally eliminate disparities is a moment that we're spending helping to perpetuate them. So those values are equity, their resilience, and making sure that everything that we do it for the future in a way that's sustainable, that we can build and continue moving into the future, and protecting our children and our city from the effects of climate change, which are already impacting our city, and innovation. That everything we do, we have to constantly be about getting better and better at. We're going to apply those lenses to our work, the three pillars of our work, our economic justice, public safety through a criminal reform lens, and education. And that's our ingredients, our body of work towards our promise that we've said that we've got to be all about working together to build a city that really works for all of us. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for being here as part of our celebration of history, as part of our celebration of who our city really is, and more importantly, just as public servants who are committed day in and day out to helping people, to serving families, to making this city and this community thrive. I just want to thank you for being the hands and the feet on the ground in the city of St. Paul and in Ramsey County when it comes to making this community a community that truly works for everyone. Thank you so much.
I would like to introduce our storyteller. Danielle is an actress, creator-writer, teaching artist, and master storyteller. Her storytelling programs and tour shows have been presented in Europe and the United States. She has worked in many schools, colleges, and community organizations using the art of storytelling to entertain educate, motivate, and empower people of all ages. Danielle believes our stories are healing. We should treasure and collect them for our future generations. She is the author of The Ghost of the Old Man Willie, a children's book. Her workshops and artist residencies are designed to help students find and develop their own creative voice and style. Welcome, Danielle.
What a pleasure to be here and to be with Reverend Miller and Mayor Carter. You just never know how God is going to guide your path. Long ago in old Africa, some of the people there knew magic and they could fly. Then one day, many of the ones who could fly were captured for slavery, shackled by their hands and feet. They were put on the bottom of ships. Some of them died and their bodies were tossed into the ocean for the fish to eat. The others were sold into the Americas in slavery. They were so miserable, they forgot about the magical powers that they had deep inside. You couldn't tell the ones who could fly from the ones who could not because they all had dark skin. One of the ones who once could fly was an old man that everybody called Toby and a young woman named Sarah. Now, Sarah had a baby on her back. While she picked cotton, she had to have that baby on her back. One hot day, the baby began to cry. Overseer said, "Shut that thing up now." Sarah tried to soothe the baby. "Hush now, baby, shh, don't cry." But the baby cried louder, and the overseer took out his whip, and he hit her and the babe. She fell. Blood dripped into the earth. The old man, Toby, went over. He says, "Daughter, you must get up and get back to work." "I can't, Father. I can't take this no more. Please let us leave this place." "Yes, daughter, the time has come." He lifted his arms to the heavens and said the magic words, "Ibo gramino la famba, Ibo gramino." Sarah began rising up. Fly away. And then she started flying over the fence. Overseer said, "You better come back here and get back to work." A young slave man passed out. Overseer had his whip. But the old man continued to say the magic words. Master and the overseer had their weapons. "We paid a lot of money for you. Get back here." As the old man said the magic words, everyone who once could fly made a circle around the old man. And they too began to fly over the fence and over the tall trees. But there were some there that did not know how to fly. He didn't have time to teach them. So he says, "My brothers and my sisters, listen to me. I give you the magic words. Faith, hope, love, courage. Teach them to your children. Tell your children to teach their children. And as long as you have them, you'll always be free." My mama, a child of the people who could not fly, born on a burden plantation in Louisiana, she's the one who gave me those magical words of faith, hope, love, and courage.
For I'll be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave, and go home to my Lord and be free.
Storytelling has always been an important part of the African and African-American culture. It was their stories of hope and faith and love and courage that helped them to endure the cruelty of slavery. The oral traditions helped African Americans to pass on their history, to teach valuable lessons, and to inspire and motivate each other. Now, on the plantation, the slaves created many stories about their experiences. In the early years, they created a lot of animal stories where the smaller animals were smart and tricky, and the bigger animals represent the slave owner and the slave institution. Now, one of my favorites is Br'er Rabbit and Mama Bear. Now, see, Mama Bear, she was a big old bear. So big when she walked the ground would tremble. And she was a gardener. So she took all the land, left no land for the little animals to grow their food. They went to her nicely. "Oh, yeah." Said, "Mama Bear, nature provided the land for all of us to grow our food. You need to share." She said, "Make me." They said, Mama Bear, our children are starving. She said, I don't care nothing about you, your kin, and your kind. They said, well, you're going to leave us no choice. You've been warned. Well, the very next day, Brother Rabbit was hiding outside the gate. He heard Mama Bear and saw her when she said, little girl Bear, I'll be back. Stay inside this gate and don't you leave. Yes, ma'am, Mama. She disappeared into the woods. Brother Rabbit came out singing. I'm going to get some peas. I'm going to get some lettuce. I'm going to get some juicy, sweet carrots. I'm going to get some peas. I'm going to get some lettuce. I'm going to get some juicy, sweet carrots. Now, he went to the gate and said, Mama Bear, little girl Bear, Mama Bear said, open the gate and let me in. I just saw her. She said, okay. He went inside. He ate. Then he came back out, and he says, I'm tricky like that. I'm smart like that. I'm sneaky like that. I'm tricky like that. I'm smart like that. I'm sneaky like that. Mama Bear came home. Went in that garden. She was upset. Who's been here? Brother Rabbit came by. She said, I told them. I told those little animals I'm not sharing. When he comes back tomorrow, let him in. Lock the gate. Next day, he was waiting for her to leave. He came out singing. I'm going to get some peas. I'm going to get some lettuce. I'm going to get some sweet carrots. Oh, yeah. Little girl Bear, I saw your mama. She said, open the gate and let me in. He went on inside. He was in the middle of eating a carrot when the ground began to tremble. That gate swung open. It was Mama Bear. She snatched him up by his little neck. You're going to pay. You're going to pay. He said, Mama Bear, oh, I'm so sorry. Do whatever. Just don't throw me over there in the briar patch. Oh, please don't. She said, I'm going to put you in the well. That well is deep. You'll never get out. Mama Bear, that's a good idea. I need a drink of water. She said, I know. I'm going to tar and feather you. I'm going to skin you alive. Oh, Mama Bear, you so kind. That's a good idea because this fur is too heavy. Take it off. Take it off. She said, She started looking at the briar patch. He said, Mama Bear, have some compassion for life. She said, you've been eating my peas. You've been eating my lettuce. You've been eating my sweet. She threw him over in the briar patch. He stood up and started dancing. He said, I tricked you, Mama Bear. I was born and raised right here because I'm tricky like that. I'm smart like that. I'm sneaky like that. He says, and as long as you don't share the land, me and my kind, we're going to come every day. Oh, we're going to come, and we're going to come, and we're going to come. Finally, she got the message, and she shared the land. If you want to know about a people, listen to their stories. African-American culture, our stories and our songs mirror our life. I'm going to get some peas. I'm going to get some lettuce. I'm going to get some juicy, sweet carrots.
Storytelling was fun. And she made y'all sing and learn some stuff too. So don't worry, I'm gonna make y'all come back to that. Thank you so much, Miss Danielle, for your storytelling. I have the honor of presenting the next person, which is the Reverend Dr. Earl F. Miller, Sr. He was born in Jackson, Mississippi. He has been married 55 years to the First Lady, Miss Eunice Miller. From this union, they are the parents of 3 children, 9 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. And that's a little false because I'm a part of that family, too. Dr. Miller is well-known, widely traveled, and well-respected as a preacher, scholar, teacher, and community leader. Dr. Miller was named by the Minneapolis St. Paul magazine as one of the 10 most influential clergy in the Twin Cities. Dr. Miller is also a recipient of the Spurgeon Award, the highest community service award given by the Boy Scouts of America. Please help me welcome Reverend Dr. Earl F. Miller, Sr., my daddy.
Good afternoon to our honorable mayor. I guess he left. To the commissioners, and to all of you who are gathered here on this occasion. I want to give a special thanks to Attorney Jeff Martin is here, Attorney Jeff Martin and to Arlene and to the committee extended me the invitation to speak to you on this occasion of Black History Month. They gave me a subject, the Black Church Past, Present, and Future, so we got to stick with that. A lot of other things I want to say, but Arlene told me that I had 25 minutes. And I told Arlene, I said, it takes 30 minutes for a black preacher to get warmed up. I mean, yeah. But I will be respectful of your time. I want to talk for a few minutes from the subject, the Black Church, Past Experiences, Present Dilemma, and Future Challenges. The Black Church, Past Experiences, Present Dilemma, and Future Challenges. Come on, so that you remember that. Come on, can you say that with me? The Black Church, Past Experiences, Present Dilemma, and Future Challenges. That's what I want to talk about just for a few minutes. Let me begin by saying this, that the Black church, like the white church, is a Christian church. Jesus Christ is the central issue of our faith and the way we practice it. But it is different and unique in this sense, in the sense that it has grown out of the unique experiences of black people in this country and black people before this country. The way we worship, the way we sing, the way we shout, the way we move, and the way we preach cannot be traced back to Europe. No. But can only be traced back to Mother Africa. John Mbidi, an African theologian, wrote a book entitled African Religion. And in that book, he talked about the many different African religions. And he says, even though they had many different religions, they all shared something in common. He said everything to the African was spiritual. They looked out on everything in life through spiritual binoculars. Unlike the European approach to worshiping God, there is no separation in the African tradition between what is sacred and what is secular. Everything is sacred. Everything, Mbidi says, everything is sacred in the African tradition. There's not just a cerebral approach to understanding and to worshiping God, but a holistic approach to worshiping God. One author wrote a book entitled To a Dancing God. When they couldn't explain who he was and couldn't articulate it and couldn't theologize on it, they just danced him. That is the kind of worship of God we brought to this country as slaves. It was 150 years. Do you have a copy of that timeline? Oh, no, I want you to keep this. I forgot to put my name on it. It's copyrighted by me. So. No. I got it. I got it. But I just want you to look at it. During slavery, we were in slavery for 244 years of the most devastating slavery system the world has ever known. 244 years. But it was about 150 years before any significant number of slaves came into the Christian church. Why? Because they could not reconcile worshiping the God of the person who was enslaving them. And so that's why it was, they taught us a modified form of Christianity. they taught us the stories of the Bible. And we took the stories that they taught us, and we took the story and we made them real in our own experience. They taught us the story of Moses. And we took the story of Moses and we made a song out of it. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land, and tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. We made it applicable to our own experience. They taught us the story of Daniel in the lion's den. And we took that story and we made a song out of it. Did my Lord deliver Daniel's? Did my Lord deliver Daniel's? And I know that he's going to deliver me. They taught us, slaves, be obedient to your master. And one day you will get rewarded in heaven. But be obedient to your master, and you're going to go to heaven as a result of that. We took that and we made it real in our own struggle to survive. We had really no hope as slaves. We couldn't get out of it. We couldn't get by it. We couldn't escape it. We had no hope of being nothing but slaves. We couldn't think and dream of being nothing else. But we had the strange ability to think and to dream of another reality that was beyond the reality that we were experiencing. So in our bare backs, we sang, I got a robe, you got a robe. All of God's children got a robe. Can't put it on now, but when I get to heaven, I'm going to put on my robe, and I'm going to wear it all over God's heaven. We sang, I got shoes, and they're bare feet. I got shoes, you got shoes. All of God's children got shoes. Can't wear them now. But when I get to heaven, I'm going to put on my shoes, and I'm going to walk all over God's heaven. Listen, our foreparents lived through the most devastating slavery system that the world has ever known. Why? Because we were considered to be non-human. It was a dehumanizing system. We were considered to be property, chattel, only 3/5 of a human being. But like the Hebrew people in the Old Testament, when they were slaves in Egypt, our foreparents were a praying people. Am I right about it? I don't mean, if it sounds like I'm preaching sometimes, y'all forgive me. But they were a praying people. They prayed, Lord, we're down here in a bad way, sleeping on the ground like dogs, eating husks like hogs, being mistreated like animals. We know you're busy. We know you got to hang out the moon and you got to shift the stars around. Don't get in a hurry. But Lord, while on others thou art calling, do not pass me by. And my friends, God answered the prayers of our foreparents. That's the only way we can understand it, that God answered the prayers of our foreparents. He sent a plague. Are you listening? He sent a plague on this nation, just like he did send a plague to Egypt and the Pharaoh. And he would not lift that pledge until they let us go free. 620,000 men died in the Civil War or died in the plague over slavery. Y'all getting me? Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation January the 1st, 1863, which led to the abolishment of slavery forever. But you take this timeline in your private time, study it. 240, this is our experience here in this country, 244 years of slavery. And I've got some indications here of the events that were happening here and what happened with the church. 240 years of slavery and another 101 years of segregation, which is just another form of slavery. And this is our experience here in this country. In 53 years, we've been free. 53 years by law. That's our experience here in this country. Take it and look at it. Amen. Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation January the 1st, 1863. Now look at 244 years of slavery and another 101 years of segregation. Let's talk about segregation. I grew up in the church during the segregated years. Segregation was nothing but another form of slavery. I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi, and things were kind of tough there for a black man. But I had good parents, and my parents were determined to get me educated. I didn't know for what, because we had no opportunities to go to school, no opportunities. We had opportunities to go to school, we didn't have opportunities to get good jobs, because they weren't hiring any blacks on jobs other than service jobs, and maids and yard boys and shoe shine boys and taxi cab drivers. Those are the only jobs we could get during that time. So I know what segregation is all about. But I was protected by my parents, and I was protected by the black church. The black church was at its best during the segregated era. Everybody was in somebody's church. It was an era when black people became proud of being black. James Brown came out with a song entitled, "Say It Loud." Y'all remember that? I'm black and I'm proud. We had bushes out to here. You know what a bush of afros. The church became the center for the fight against segregation and oppression. Almost all of our leaders came out of the black church. Martin Luther King Jr., Ralph Abernathy, Jesse Jackson, Y.T. Walker, who just passed away on last week, and Andrew Young, and many more. But the church was the source that produced all of the leaders during that time. And most of our famous singers learned how to sing in the church, in the black church. Aretha Franklin, just named them. Aretha Franklin, Al Green, Whitney Houston, Gladys Knight, Patti LaBelle, Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, just to name a few. C. Eric Lincoln, black scholar, put it like this. He put it in these words. Listen, he said, the black man's religion was the organizing principle around which his life was structured. His church was his school, was his forum, and his political arena. It was his social club, his art gallery, and his conservatory of music. It was the peculiar sustaining force that gave him the strength to endure when endurance gave no promise, and the courage to be creative in the face of his own dehumanization. It was the church that sustained us, that protected us, and the church that allowed us together to become somebody. Look, if it wasn't for the church, the black church, we would, I dare say, we would either be crazy, drunk, or dead if it wasn't for the black church. A black man could pull off his overalls, his work clothes, put on a suit, and a black woman could take off her maid uniform and put on her Sunday go to meetings And they could come to the church, and a man could be a man, and a woman could be a woman. They could be somebody. They could be just as much as the white bosses. The church meant so much, and it's played such a significant role in the lives of black people. Because of the movement led by the black church and the black leaders, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Bill July the 2nd, 1964, ending segregation forever. Our present dilemma, our president, the black church today is facing a serious dilemma. This is an era of mega church, an era of mega church mentality, an era of getting lost in the crowd. It is an era of prosperity gospel. It is an era of integrated worship. This is the dilemma, y'all. After the Civil Rights Bill was signed, most white Americans believed that the racial problem had been solved. That's it. They said they got what they wanted. They got their equal rights. Everything is equal. The problem has been solved. But here's the dilemma. Watch this now. In spite of the fact of 345 years of economic disadvantage, economic exploitation. I showed you that, look at that chart. You'll see 244 years plus 101 years of segregation. That's 345 years. In spite of the fact of 345 years of economic exploitation, in spite of the fact of 345 years of educational disadvantage. Are y'all listening? In spite of the fact of the systematic desecration of our family unit, in spite of the psychological scars that have resulted from 345 years of oppression. Watch this. As a people, we as a people are expected nowadays to function as a people who never had this disadvantage. Y'all hear that? That's the dilemma. We're expected nowadays to function like this never existed. Some time ago, I was speaking to a group of students at Carleton College in Northfield, Minnesota. And many of the students in our discussion could not understand how African Americans are disadvantaged today. They said, that happened yesterday. This is a new day. This is today. And your people have the same rights and opportunities as white people do today. So I brought this young white male up there. Can I do the illustration here now? Can you? Yeah. And I just said, let's say by some hook or crook, I made you a slave when we were young. And I made you a slave, and you made me rich, filthy rich, from your free labor. I treated you the worst that can be treated a human being. I dehumanized you. You were property to me. I raped you. I raped your wife. I sold away your children at puberty. I did everything I could do to degrade you. Let's say 40, when we got to be 40 years old, you took me to court. And you won. You won. You won your freedom from me. Your slavery from me. And I said, okay. I know that I'm still rich and you ain't got nothing. I know that you ain't got no education because I wouldn't let you get that education. I know that I didn't treat you right. I didn't treat you halfway right. I know that. But it's done now. It's all over. We are equal. We're equal, and So let's do this. Let's just shake hands and go on and live together from now on happily ever after. How you feel about that?
That's so good. But because you were my neighbor until 3 years ago in Highland, I will shake your hand anyway.
That's you. Yeah, good to see you.
But not good. I would not feel good.
Okay. Thank you very much. The same thing happened to that young man. I extended my hand to the young man. He said, no, wait a minute. Something wrong with this. Same thing. Now, so the dilemma is, in spite of the disadvantages of our history, we as a people are expected to function nowadays as a people who never had this experience, who never had this disadvantage. That's the dilemma of facing the black church and facing the black community today. Now, here's the challenge. The challenge. Say challenge. Racism is given. It ain't going nowhere. It's institutionalized. So some white people are not going to ever change. I don't mean to harm, but I'm from Mississippi, and I know the people there, and I know a lot of them there. Some white people are not going to ever change. No matter how much we try to help people to understand our struggle, to help people to understand what we're going through, no matter how much we try to put our problem off on other people, no matter how much we try to depend on other people to solve our problems for us, I have been around long enough to see and to know that things ain't gonna change. Excuse my drummer, my grandma, but things ain't gonna change. Say that, things ain't gonna change. That's true. So watch this. If other people aren't gonna change, then what? Yeah, we got to change. If other folks, here it is, and I promise you this is right. The challenge is we've got to change the focus of our struggle from crying about what we don't have to cheering about what we do have. We've got to change from complaining about what other folk are trying to keep from us to claiming the things that God has already put in our hands. You know, one of the things, and I don't like to say this around black folk, we got a white audience here too. To be born in America is a blessing. You know, to have opportunities, we got to look at what we got and start complaining about what we don't have. And that's what, let me get biblical on you. I got to say something. And that's what the Lord was driving at in Exodus 14 and 15 when Moses and his people were trapped down by the banks of the Red Sea. They had Pharaoh and his army coming up from their rear to destroy them. They had mountains blocking them in on both sides. They had the raging waters of the Red Sea flowing in the front of them. They had nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. And Moses cried out, "Lord, what am I going to do?" And the Lord said to Moses, "Moses, what is that you have in your hand? Use what you got in your hand." So that's our challenge. What do you have in your hands, African Americans? Use what you have in your hands. It does not matter who's in the White House. Use what you have in your hand. Listen, the black church is the only institution that we as black people own and control exclusively. We give the money, we serve on the boards, We control the boards. Am I right about it? Use what you got in your hands. And so let's challenge the black church. Challenge every black church to get 100% of its members who are eligible to vote registered and out to vote. Let's help our members to find employment. Every church, every member of every church ought to have 100% employment, because the people you got resources. Every church, resources in the church that can help other people to find jobs. Let's make sure that no student in our church drop out of school. We have 0 dropouts at Progressive Baptist Church. No, you don't. If you're going to attend church here, you're going to be in school if you're a student. And let's make sure that every child in our church is kindergarten ready. That's a major part of our problem, because they're not ready when they get to kindergarten. They get frustrated, and they get mad, and they eventually drop out of school, and it's a pipeline to prison. We have a lot to do. What do you have in your hand? Just a few years ago, we weren't allowed, and I experienced this, we weren't allowed to be businessmen and businesswomen to run our own businesses. We weren't allowed to be executives and to get good jobs and to make good money. But we had rhythm. We had soul. So we used what we had. Almost everything creative that has happened in this country, that this country has produced, has been created and produced by a black man or a black woman. Spiritual, blues, jazz, rock and roll, gospel music, rhythm and blues, rap. You can just name anything that has been creatively done in this country. Use what you have in your hands. We were denied access to mainstream opportunities, but we could run fast, and we were superior athletes. And so now we've been able to outrun every runner, outbox every boxer, outbat every batter, outcatch every catcher, outshoot every shooter, outdunk every dunker, outdribble every dribbler, outgolf every golfer, that is before Tiger Woods messed up, outsing every singer, and outpreach every preacher. And so as I take my seat, and I know it looks bad for us, the people, we got disparities upon disparities. We got dysfunction upon dysfunction. We got trouble on every hand. But listen, we got a history of faith in God on our side. And listen to this. Our history proves to us that through faith in God, we can overcome anything. It's in our history. There is no mountain that we cannot climb. There is no valley that we cannot make it through. There is no problem we cannot solve. There is no river we cannot cross. And the words of the song sort of sums it up for me in this song. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in his holy word, and he has never, ever failed us yet. And then the songwriter said that he said, oh, don't turn around. We've come this far by faith. Thank you.